Number 4. Love is being honest, humble, and approachable in times of misunderstanding, and being more committed to unity than to winning or being right. I think I'm speaking to myself when I put this down. This is me. And my wife often says to me, you don't always communicate well or hear well, and you often change your mind. I don't like to think that, because I always think that I speak very clearly, I communicate really well, and I never change my mind. I know exactly what's happening. Aren't you like that? Have you noticed that other people misunderstand you when you speak so clearly and so well, and it's perfectly obvious what you're saying? Strange, isn't it? Well, unity is found as you work through misunderstandings with patience, kindness, and grace. I say to people, there's going to be problems, there's going to be conflicts, because we are sinful, broken people. You always have problems in your relationships. I guarantee that. Why? Because no one is perfect. No one is perfect. And unity is found as you work through misunderstandings with patience, kindness, and grace. Number 5. Let's read together. Love is a daily willingness to admit your sin and failure, and to resist the temptation to offer an excuse or shift the blame. You know what this is like, don't you? When someone points out a problem, something that's gone wrong, and what we say, oh, it's not my fault, it's this other person's fault. You give up all these excuses of why you've acted the way it is. We can point about all sorts of things. It takes a lot of courage to be able to say, yes, you're right. Thank you for sharing that with me. I recognise what you're saying is true. Very hard. Very hard to do, because we always want to defend ourselves. We want to protect ourselves. And the reason for that is that we've been hurt. We've been vulnerable with other people in the past, and we've been hurt. People have violated our trust. We lack that sense of being open, and it goes right back to the garden, doesn't it? You know what happened when Adam and Eve sinned and they ate of the fruit? What was the first thing that happened when they confronted by God? What did Adam say? It's her fault. She gave me the fruit. Right back in the garden. What do? Shift blame. Somebody else's fault. She did it. That's that. No, I won't tell you that joke about the snake that didn't have a leg to stand on. You know that joke? No, I won't tell you that one. You often believe you are more righteous than you actually are. Self-righteousness is a daily spiritual war that you must be willing to face and fight. See, it's a spiritual battle. We don't realise. We think, oh, it doesn't really matter if I respond this way or that way. But it's a spiritual battle. Satan is there trying to tear us down and destroy relationships. That's what Satan is about, destroying relationships. God wants to bring unity and harmony and love and care. What does Satan want to do? Tear people apart. Tear people apart. You know what he does? He uses me and you to destroy unity. And we've got to be willing to recognise our own sin and our brokenness and resist the temptation to attack other people. We need to admit our sin. This is how we come to God in the first place, isn't it? We admit our sin, that we can't do it on our own, that we're weak and we're a failure, and we need God's help. Yeah. Number 6, let's read it together. Love means not responding badly when you've been wronged, but to love in concrete and specific ways to overcome evil with good. I'll make a point down here. It says, you're not a child or a grumpy old person. Sometimes we simply need to say to one another, grow up. Don't respond like that. You're not a child and you're not a grumpy old person. Grow up. Be mature. You don't have to respond like that. You don't have to respond in a negative, bad way. Sometimes I do visit aged care facilities and come across different people who are elderly. When you come across older people, you can often reflect and see what has happened in their life. Can't you? If somebody has made choices of responding in a grumpy way when they're younger, guess what they end up being? A grumpy old person. We need to make choices now about how we're going to respond. because those daily choices really affect our character. Your natural response is to hurt when you've been hurt. You need God's help to respond with kindness. It's against our nature to overcome evil with good. But that's what Jesus taught. And he showed us by his own example. When he was sinned against, when he was abused and rejected and beaten and a mistrial and all the things that happened to Jesus, what did he say? Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And he said, overcome evil, how? With good. Number 7, let's read it together. Love looks for ways to help with the physical, emotional and spiritual needs of those with whom we have a relationship. This is a hard one because it's a very difficult one, because we see lots of needs out there, and how do we know? We can spend all our time and energy helping all sorts of people and we get destroyed in the process. So we've got to have boundaries. It's very important we have clear boundaries, because we can't help everybody, but we can help some people. And the challenge for us is when we see a need and we have something to be able to do, with something to be able to help with that need, to be able to respond to that. Very hard, because we need to have boundaries. We need to be responsible. But there's also this sense of being able to give and continue to draw on God's strength. I think the key here is love is willing, self-starting and active, and takes the initiative. You don't have to wait to be asked to do something good. If you see a need and you have the ability to do it, you respond. Often when I'm talking to people about marriage and relationship, often the Bible does say that the husband is head of the wife, and as Christ is head of the church, and we get that really misunderstood, and a lot of abuses happen in that. But I simply define headship or love in this way. Love takes the initiative in a caring relationship. The way that I provide leadership in my home is by taking the initiative to care, to look at other people's needs and respond. That's hard work, but that's what God calls me to do. Taking the initiative. It's willing, self-starting, active, and takes the initiative. It's looking out to see where the need is and responding, even if it is just a kind word. Takes the initiative. Number 8, will you read number 8 with me, please? Love is willing to invest time and energy to discuss, examine, and understand misunderstandings and stay on task until an agreed solution or strategy is found. It's so hard, isn't it? I know my own reaction. When there's a conflict, when there's a problem, what do? Withdraw. Yeah? You have a problem with someone, what do? You move apart. Oh, I've got a problem at church, I'm going through a tough time. What do? Stay home. Yeah? No. See, love is staying connected and engaged and working through the problem. It's tough. It's hard work because we feel hurt, we feel misunderstood. But you need to stay connected and work through the problem. Work through the issues. Find a strategy, find a solution, find a way ahead. Stay connected. Love is willing to invest time and energy to discuss, examine and understand misunderstanding. Stay on task till an agreed solution strategy is found. Number 9, let's read. Love is always being willing to ask for forgiveness and always being committed to grant forgiveness when it is required. You're not yet perfect. Neither is your husband, wife, brother, sister, children, neighbour or work colleague. You are not perfect, and neither is anyone else. Guess what? There's probably never a day when you don't sin against each other and need forgiveness. Not until Jesus comes. Every day we'll need to ask for forgiveness and extend forgiveness. Number 10. Love is recognizing the high value of trust and being faithful to your promises and true to your word. Trust is easily lost or broken and takes a long time to repair or restore. How does a relationship work? Based on trust. Trust is knowing that someone is reliable. They do what they say. They follow through. If they say they're going to do something, they do it. Trust takes a long time to restore. Easily broken, long time to repair. The Bible tells us that love loves, love trusts, and love works to strengthen love and trust. Two things are very closely related. Number 11. Love is being willing to have less free time, less sleep, and a busier schedule in order to be faithful to what God has called you to be and to do. What did Jesus say when he called his disciples to come and follow him? What did Jesus say? Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. Did Jesus say it's going to be easy? No. Did Jesus make it really clear that being a follower of Jesus is going to be hard? Yes, he did. He said, deny yourself. Doesn't mean denying who you are. It means recognizing that we need to move away from the self-focus and self-centered nature of our society and focus on others and their needs rather than myself. That's what it means to deny ourselves. Take up our cross. What was a cross? Symbol of death. Sacrificial, painful death. Jesus says, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. Love is costly. Love is sacrificial. Love is gritty, takes hard work and time. And it works itself out in these nitty-gritty ways of being willing to have less free time, less sleep, and a busier schedule in order to be faithful to what God has called you to be and to do. Are you willing to follow Jesus? It is hard work. Why? Why would we do this? It only happens when we've experienced the love of God in our lives. When we realize that we are loved unconditionally, that God has done everything necessary for us to come back into a relationship with Him, and given us His Holy Spirit to empower us to live and to love like Jesus. When we really understand that, then our motivation is to follow and to love. The two things go hand in hand. When we know God's love in our lives, then it frees us and enables us to love others. And it's not until we really understand that we are free to love.